Inspiration, brave action, and heartwarming journeys. This is what the Louise H. Reed Show brings you. Now, here's your host, Louise H. Reed.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show once again. Each week, as you know, I invite you to sit in on a conversation with a new guest where we get level, bringing you real people, real issues, and real conversations. My hope is you walk away from the show inspired and equipped to level up in your own life and leadership. If you'd like a copy of the best of notes and quotes from the show, please subscribe to my email list at louisehreed.com. Finally, regular listeners know I love to give away exclusive Lady Boss Loyalty swag as a way of saying thanks to you for spending time with me. To get your hands on some, simply comment on a podcast episode with the hashtag LadyBossLoyalty and you'll be automatically entered into the draw. Now, without further ado, let me introduce you to today's special guest. Today we have with us Juliette Smith. This inspiring woman matches international talent with Canadian opportunity. Juliette is a manager and stakeholder with In-TAC, a national platform that connects newcomers with Canadian employment opportunities on-site and online. She's a recruiting guru, a mentor, trainer, and a career coaching specialist. Simply put, she is trailblazing the work industry for women of international backgrounds. Juliette, my friend, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Louise. Great to be on.
You're welcome. It is truly, truly my pleasure. You and I met through some volunteer work that I did with an In-TAC mentorship program that I was part of last year. And I'm so incredibly thankful for that. I mentioned to you before we started the show, part of the reason why I wanted so badly to share this time with you is that you have a vision, a grit and a grace that really is unmatched. And that's why I wanted to have this opportunity to steal an hour with you and share you with my listening audience. So thank you.
Thank you.
You probably heard me say in the intro that I really like I said about getting level, like let's get level. And when I talk about getting level, there's tons of things that I think about. But the two that are most important to me is about getting level in terms of women in the workplace and availability of opportunities and that kind of thing. And also getting real and level in our conversations. So I'm wondering, what do you think that we all need to get more real about?
Empowering women. That's what drives me. That's what gets me up every day. Leaving no woman behind.
Wow. And so when you say empowering women, because I think that's a term I like to use.
Yes.
And I think it's a term that's being used a lot more nowadays and sometimes overused. What is empowering women? What does that term actually mean to you? What does it look like?
Absolutely. It's getting women to that next level of their career. I work a lot with internationally educated women and providing them with the tools and resources that can fast track them into the Canadian workplace. That's what empowering women means to me. They already have the knowledge and skills. They're a gift to Canada. And our way of getting that gift into the workplace is by placing them with employers and connecting them. So they are empowered to do their best and to give back.
Wow. And speaking of giving back, one of the things that I know, a new project that you're working on, and I was wondering what sort of some of the inspiration story behind this is. Those watching on YouTube or watching this live over Facebook can see your background right now, women IT teleworkers. So this is a new project that you have spearheaded and you are the vision behind. And there's an element of giving back related to this. So I wanted you to tell me a little bit about this project. What inspired it? And then the piece, that's a lot of questions all in one. Let's just start with that. Tell us a little bit about this project and what inspired it, please.
Thank you. One of the things is leaving no woman behind. Women face a lot of barriers getting into the workplace. For example, childcare, just balancing that home and life, but they still want to work, right? How can we get with those women who say, listen, if my childcare is taken care of, transportation, here's my best. So remote work is one solution for that. And this is why this project came into being, because we still had women not entering the workforce. And WIT is that awesome experience that women can have. They can be trained how to work from home. They can be their best. Employers can be very secure to know that these employees that are coming on board, they have the skills, they have the knowledge, they want to work, and they have positioned themselves thinking outside of the box. How can I get into the workforce? And this is what this program is all about. So this social enterprise helps women get into the workplace, and employers who hire these talented women, you're getting the best of what Canada has to offer. And for any placement cost, and it's a fraction of what you would pay for a normal placement, part proceed goes to women's shelter. Again, we want to leave no woman behind. Women in these shelters, they're looking for help. And these are going to be future workers that we can get into the workplace. So it's like a helping hand, helping each other, pulling each other up. And that's what WIT is all about.
Thanks for sharing all of that. I am grinning ear to ear, and so proud to know you and proud to be associated as well with this program. And it's just such an example of what the world needs more of. Such an example of that. I'm really curious to know more about you, Juliette, in terms of where did this, how did this desire to empower others, where did that come from in you, and specifically around the women who are internationally trained? What's the story?
And we will talk about obstacles, right? One of my, being a newcomer to Canada over 25 years ago, one of the biggest obstacles that I faced was getting a job. It was rejection after rejection. But I went back to school. I did course. There's one company that I targeted when I came to Canada, because I came from Jamaica. And way back on the island, you saw this great company and these beautiful women with this headset on, working and saying, thank you for calling AT&T. I said, that's what I want to be when I grow up. And if you notice on most of my calls, except for today, I always have a headset on. Yeah. And when I came to Canada, I saw that AT&T was hiring. Dream came through. Wow. Applied, turned down. Went back to the drawing board. I applied every single month for at least 7 months. I took courses. I improved everything that they said they wanted. I finally got the job. I got to say, thank you for calling AT&T. Very simple for people looking like, why? It's that element of surprise of who is on the other end of that line. Who can I help today? And that was what drove me. So I got my dream job. I went up to a leadership position. But you know what? I decided I need things. I don't want others coming to Canada to go through what I wanted to go, what I went through. So I decided to go into human resources and specialize in recruitment. That others coming in with these amazing gifts, let's not put barriers up. Let's get them up and running and contribute to this wonderful country of ours. So that's who I am. And from 15 years ago, I decided that my goal in life is to help anyone find a job in their field and excel.
I love hearing the story, and I didn't know that story, Juliette. And that is an energy and a passion and a fire that I have recognized, I see that in you, and I hear that in your words, in any of the meetings that we're both part of. I see it in your eyes. I think that's my favorite thing, actually, is you actually smile with your eyes. And clearly that's the story and part of what led you to do this, and for me to see that fire. And I so thank you for sharing that. We're speaking of obstacles, and one of the things that you mentioned that you noticed women experiencing, which is what helped create this WIT program, was childcare and women entering the workforce, with that being a concern. What other obstacles have you identified? Or maybe, you know what, let's actually talk about you. What's the biggest obstacle that you had to overcome, and what did it teach you?
Oh, just not being able to be recognized for my credential and my experience when I came to Canada. But that taught me to resilience. I kept applying to the company for 7 months till they finally hired me. That's what I wanted, and I was not giving up. And it taught me resilience, and it teaches me you can do anything. If you put your mind to it, you can get there. It's not going to be easy, but you'll get there eventually.
So there's a colleague we have in common called Doris, and I realize listeners are not going to know this, but I can't help but give a shout out to Doris, because now I know where that story and that connection came from between you and Doris, because Doris has that same grit and a similar story, and I
love her.
And that's where there's one of the common connections. Love it. I also love the perspective that you have on success. And I'm wondering if you can share with us, what does success mean to you? Or how would you define success?
For me, it's about bringing out the best in others, right? Helping our clients finding their first job in Canada, watching them thrive, not only in their job, but the community. For me, that is what success is all about. It's not only helping myself, my client, but Canada. Everything I do is for this wonderful country that we are proud to be a part of. And everything I do has a business end to it. Is giving back to the economy and helping others grow. For me, that is success. We have had women go on to be entrepreneurs, hiring other people. That is success. They're buying their first home. I've been invited to so many dinner parties. They have their cars. They're going on trips. You see them in the same store. That, to me, Louise, is what success is all about.
It's wonderful. I think that in North America, we typically have a really narrow version of what success means. I think I did, to be honest, until I was about 40, and life changed, events happened, and that was really kind of blown open. And it really is so much bigger than ourselves. It's really so much bigger than ourselves. And even though so much bigger than those in our immediate circle, there's layers. There's layers to it.
Absolutely.
So moving to a new country 25 years ago, I'm sure that did not come without a bit of fear. But maybe that's not the scariest thing you've done. What is the scariest thing that you've ever done? Because I think fear is something that we think brave people don't have, and you're brave. So tell us about a scary thing for you.
I am scared of heights. And the scariest thing I've ever done is to take a hot air balloon ride. Yes, I don't do things easy. Yes. But once you were up there and you felt that sense of freedom, there's nothing like it. But that is and will always be the scariest thing, and I will never do it again.
What did that teach you? Or what did you take away from that in terms of facing fears? If anything, maybe you didn't for that one.
I had to, because there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And that is something I remind myself of every day. But taking that balloon ride it gave me a sense of freedom in the moment. But you did it, you experienced it. But yes, it was
That you
a
can feel the
one-time thing.
fear. Yeah.
Yes,
You can feel the fear and do it anyway.
yes,
And beauty might be there, success might be on the other end, all sorts of things.
absolutely. The sense of being up in it was such freedom for me doing that.
I love that. And I love how you just threw your arms up in the air like that too, right? Just that expansive
Exactly. You're
feeling.
just flying, and when you're free, you're letting things go, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
So, what do you think about the idea of well, I'm going to, as a 16th birthday gift to one of my boys, we are jumping out of a plane together.
Go for it.
Do you want to do it with us, Juliette?
I will get back to you on that. Maybe when he turns 18.
There we go. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yes.
So speaking still on the lines of fear, what's a piece of advice, given what you've learned through your life, through the scary things you've done, through the coaching that you've done, and the recruiting that you've done, and the leading that you've done? What's one piece of advice about overcoming fear that you'd like to pass on to other professional women?
Be confident in your knowledge and skills. Like, you've got this. Each of us, as I mentioned before, comes with our own unique gift. Own it. That is how you're going to overcome fear and obstacle. Confidence that's one thing I instill in all the women that I meet.
Where does confidence, where do you think confidence comes from?
It's from being confident, knowing yourself, right? You know who you are, you know to contribute, and you're just looking for an opportunity. How do you articulate that to employers? How do you bring out that passion that you are the right person for this position? That is the confidence that you have to own it. This is who I am, and this is what I'm bringing to the role.
I love that, because then it doesn't matter what circumstances in life might be changing around you, right? The outer circumstances may change, which, hello, if we didn't already know that with COVID, or before COVID, we know it now. And that's never going to change. You know, that we all know that old saying, the only constant is change, or something like that. I always mess my cliches up. But that's true. And so I love the simplicity of what you just shared. So I'm going to repeat it. Know who you are, be that, own that. And that's really where that's where confidence comes from.
Yes, because you have that unique gift. Only you have that gift. So you have to own it.
I love that. And that will allow you to really overcome anything. Doesn't make the fear go away.
Oh, absolutely.
But gives you the fortitude, the grit, the ability to move forward, even in the face of fear. Right. Love it. You mentioned that you moved into leadership when you were at AT&T, and I still totally love that story. That's like the best story. How do you define leadership?
For me, leadership is having faith and trust in your team. You give them the autonomy and the responsibility to do their best, but you have to get out of their way. That is what leadership is. They are all part of this team. We're all working towards the same goal. If they're working and they're creating something, I should not be going in and micromanaging that process. You need to step back and let people grow, because as a leader, you have to bring people up, right? It's not I'm here and you're there, because the more you bring people up, the better your projects and your company's going to be.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Absolutely. And I have been blessed with the most amazing team sometimes I really have to pinch myself to see why has this happened to me? And I run a national team, both in BC and out in Alberta. And the team together, they just make things happen. So I am so blessed. And that's what leadership is. Everybody's their own leader in everything that they do.
I think that's another great quote. Everyone is their own leader in everything they do. I think it ties nicely as well back to what you were saying a moment ago about knowing who you are, knowing your unique gifts and your unique value and being that.
Yes.
And then that's where I believe not only confidence comes from, but that's where leadership is born. That's where great leadership is born. And having worked in the HR space as well for 20 years, that's where I feel that a lot of leadership is actually lacking.
Yes.
Another word that's thrown around a lot now is authenticity, but if really understanding what that really means, I do think that we're lacking a lot of that in wanting to be almost robotic. Yes. As AI and technology has increased in its usage and many great outcomes as a result, I think we've almost become robotic.
Yes, and that is not going to be me. I like to touch base with my team. We start off every day with our chats to see, especially working in a remote environment, it's that even more important to be engaged with your team and those check-in meetings. That's what leadership is, to see how their day is going. So for me, AI is great. It's the way of the future, but that human touch, that human connection and positivity, and creativity and innovation, AI cannot replace these things at all.
Absolutely not. There's no replacement for the people, the human connection. And there's an energy that's hard to define, but you know when it's there and you know when it's not. That as great as computers are and technology can't replace those things. You mentioned about the importance of leaders getting out of their great people's way, right? So after you've got a great team, you've got trust in your team, and you've got a great vision, then let them do the job that you hired them to do. Where did you learn this from? You said you've been blessed with a great team. Have you been blessed with great leaders along the way as well?
Yes, I must say yes. Along the way, I have. But for every person that comes to my team, I have one simple thing I say on day one. I am going to treat you exactly as how I want to be treated. That is what I live by. And that just sets the tone for what the next few years or years is going to look like with a relationship for me and that employee. And we hold me accountable. Mm-hmm. Anytime I step out of that, hold me accountable. And that's what I ask for my team. Because none of us is perfect. Sometimes you say things, it's not what you say, but how it's said. Mm-hmm. And if I can go back in time and never be too big to say I'm sorry, that's not exactly how I meant. I'm human. We all make mistakes, right? But let's move on. And that's the type of workplace I want to create.
And I think high achievers, we believe somehow that we don't make mistakes along the way, or we have to hide mistakes, or maybe shamed by mistakes. And
of course,
I don't know how we got there. I don't know how we got to that kind of mindset, but there's plenty of mistakes happening with me for sure. And my partner, who listens to every radio show, shout out to Jay, he listens every day, every week he listens live. I know he's listening now. I'm sure he's nodding his head right now and me saying, yes, I make lots of mistakes.
Of course we do, but we have to own it, and we have to apologize, right? Because that is what relationship building is all about.
I remember taking a university course in relationships, and I thought it was good. I took it admittedly because I thought it was going to be an easy course to get an easy grade. And it was an easy course, perhaps because I was interested in it. And they talked about relationships being like a ladder.
Yes.
And that as one person reveals something or says I'm sorry or exposes themselves in some small way, they take a step up on the ladder rung. And then it's like, okay, is the other person going to meet me or not, right? There's a bit of a emotional exposure there. Are they going to shame me? Are they going to accept me? Are they going to say, I accept your apology? And when they do that, they move on to the next rung of the ladder. And, slowly, one by one, typically you move up the rung of the ladder. And I don't know why I just had that memory, but it's really how relationships are built. And you make that beautiful first step on an employee's first day by sharing what it is that you, how you will treat them. And I think that's so valuable. It's about the human just as much as it's about the work.
Absolutely.
You've mentioned that there are different strategies to empower women in the workforce, and I'd like to jump into that a little bit. Talk to us about what strategies that you've become, that you want to be sharing, that you'd like to share with others who may be listening right now, interested in learning more about that.
Learning and development, I think that is the space and that is the key to success. A lot of the skills that we have coming into Canada might not meet what the Canadian requirements are. So upskilling is one of the strategies, and it has been proven to be so successful. Most of the clients that we serve have about 80% of what the companies are looking for. Of course, the companies want 100%. It's not going to happen. There's no perfect person out there. But if we can get them up to 95% of what the companies are looking for, that's a better chance for success for that person. So upskilling is one. Oral communication, we wouldn't think of newcomers and, let's get real, as you say, human resources. When we talk about a newcomer, what about their communication skills? What about their critical thinking skills and even writing skills? These are really strong strategies and skills that newcomers need to get into the workplace and thrive and be successful. I think they don't need it, but once they go through and have and reflect on where they're coming from and where they're going, they see the importance of strong oral communication. And when we talk about oral communication, we're not talking about accent reduction. We own our own accent, and you can tell people listening, your listeners, I'm from Jamaica and I'm proud of my accent, but I still want, if I'm talking to Louise, she should be able to understand what I'm trying to say. So having that strong, confident tone is what is going to get you. You need to speak up in meetings. You need to get your point across respectfully, and you have to problem solve. You can't see something and don't speak up and say, oh, it's not my place to say something. You have to be able to think and be creative and innovative. So I think these are the strategies, and the secret to my success, as we call it, our secret sauce here at In-TAC, is our advanced workplace communication skills training that we give to all our clients, and we have seen the results. They are being promoted. They're leaders now in the workplaces. So something right. We're doing something right over here, and I'm proud of it.
I think the ingredients of the secret sauce are proving to be really good. Yeah. You've mentioned your programs a number of times right now, and rightly so. If someone wanted to get a little bit more information about this, and because it's like, who wouldn't want to have access to this? Who's eligible, and how would they find out more about it?
I would love to say everyone is eligible for this program, but we focus on two streams here at In-TAC for those in IT and accounting. So if you're looking to get into the workplace, demonstrate your skills and your knowledge, then you need to come to In-TAC. We provide you with all the training. We give you all the tools that you will need to be successful. Our training is based on feedback from employers. So it's not us developing, we're working together with the employers. They tell us they must have this and they must have that for day one, right? So this is what we work on, and people are empowered to step day one and start contributing to their organization.
And there's a sense of community that I've noticed with the women who have been part of the programs that
Yes.
I've been fortunate enough to be connected into, that I think is hard to quantify as well.
Yes.
Right? There's a support there that it's hard to measure, yet extremely powerful.
Absolutely. And this is one of the things that drives innovation for me to continue to find other ways. Each woman is recorded at the beginning of the session. And 12 weeks later, we go back and record the same individual, and you would not believe the transformation. And I truly believe we're in the business of transforming lives. And this is what gets me up every single day.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Talk about making something that is hard to measure and intangible. It's still not measurable, but very, very evident, right?
Yes.
And so Izzy, what kind of interview do you, what is the conversation like? And are they the same? Is it the same one, beginning and end, or slightly different? I need to know.
It's actually the same one, beginning, pre and post
Okay.
survey that we do with the individuals. Of course, we ask what are they hoping to achieve from this training session, and we ask about barriers that they might be facing. What are some of the must-haves? If I'm to leave this program and be confident, what are some of the areas that you would like us to cover? And we try to customize our training to meet the needs of each individual, because not everybody learns the same and not everybody has the same learning needs. And we try to do that individual approach. And I think that's where the success is. I don't want to put a group of women together and like, here's what you need. Absolutely not. They have to tell us what their needs are, and we adapt accordingly and build a program around them.
I love that. I'm going to pivot a little bit here, still talking about women. I'm wondering what advice you would have for female listeners who are looking for a mentor. So if this program wasn't something, because I've got a lot of folks listening in the US, so this isn't something that they'll be able to access.
Right.
But perhaps they feel inspired to be reaching out to someone to get some kind of mentorship to support them. What advice would you have for them when they don't know sort of where to go for a mentor or where to look?
Of course, you can do research on Google for leadership, women groups, different types of groups that offer mentorship programs. That should be easy. But when you do find that mentor might be right around the corner from where you live or in that workplace. It's just taking that first step to ask somebody or look for women that really inspire you and reach out. But once you do that, and once you have a mentor, you have to be open to a new way of thinking. Because if you're looking for somebody exactly like you, you're not going to grow. And when you find that person, and that brings me back to Mary Kay Ash. She says there are 3 types of people in this world. People who make it happen, people who watch what happens, and people who wonder what has happened. So you need to decide which one of those 3 people you want to be. For me personally, I like to make it happen.
You sure do. Wow. Great, great quote by Mary Kay Ash, and what a woman she was.
Yes.
I read a book written by her. I don't know if she had more than one, maybe it was just one. Quite a story.
Absolutely. I just know about the makeup, and I am a Mary Kay. I love Mary Kay products.
I used to sell Mary Kay.
No way.
I have a bunch of Mary Kay stuff still in my basement. And I'm a happy user of it. I was not a good seller of it.
Okay.
I sold it better when I wasn't a rep. Because then as soon as I thought that I was going to benefit from it, it's like my mouth got sealed somehow. Anyway,
Okay.
I learned a lot, strengths are elsewhere, and I moved on. I'm very fascinated. So shifting gears again a little bit, I'm very fascinated by what makes individual habits that make a high achiever or a successful person, who success being defined broadly, like you did, how they design their days, go through their days, because it's days added, successful days added to one another that create a successful outcome and life and fulfillment. So do you have be more specific now. Do you have a personal or professional motto or mantra that you kind of is a go-to for you that helps to keep you grounded?
I have a very simple one. Failure is not an option. That's what drives me. And it's funny, I thought of this question and I said to my husband, Raj, what is that mantra? And that's the exact thing that he said. Over the years, my team will know, yes, I love you, but failure is not an option. And as a woman, we actually have to work twice as hard, right? So for me, that keeps me, and I thrive on that.
I think that's great. And and on the heels of what you were saying earlier about no one being perfect, I think it's how we're looking at failure. So failures are just setbacks. It's only failure when you stop.
Absolutely.
It's only failure when you stop. And I love that you asked your husband that. Sometimes it's really clear to our partners.
Yes.
And sometimes not so clear to us. My next question for you is around, it might be really difficult. I'm sure and I know your life is full of all sorts of accomplishments, personal and professional, and many. Is there one that stands out as an accomplishment that you're most proud of?
My accomplishment is ongoing, because for me, it's the number of individuals that I've helped to secure jobs in their fields. And the direct impacts it has had to the Canadian economy. That is my greatest accomplishment. It's service. I get up every day, see who can we help today. So it's an ongoing. I have not accomplished. It's work in progress.
Wow, I've never heard that answered that way, and that's really, it's inspiring and humbling at the same time.
Yes.
Like
There's still a lot of work left to be done.
Yeah, our work is never done.
Yes.
Speaking of being inspired, and you are certainly an inspiring woman to me, and I know to anyone who's had the pleasure of spending any kind of time with you. What makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
And it might seem like a cliche, but really it's making a difference in the lives of others, right? I set out over 15 years ago when I decided to switch careers to get into HR that I want to help people. I want to come up with innovations and solutions to employments for women and newcomers to Canada. How can we have them be their best? So for me, this is, I'm living my life. I love my job. Every single day for the last 10 years that I've been with this organization. I mean, a lot of people have their jobs, but this is what I really want to do. And I'm excited every single day after 10 years. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But do I love what I do? Absolutely. And it outweighs any other thing that could come my way.
Wow. I remember reading once, when we know the importance of the right kind of mindset. I remember reading once about the difference between saying I have to go to work today versus I get to go to work today.
Yes. And I do get to go to work
And you
every
get to
day.
go to
Oh,
work
I
every
love it.
day.
I love it.
That's one. It's wonderful. It's what we all want. I actually used to think that that's what work was. To be honest, growing up,
Yes.
my dad loved his job, so I just thought that that's what work was.
Yes.
It took a little while for me to learn that that wasn't just automatically the case. Work did not automatically equate to enjoying it, but certainly I found that path and journey. It was a journey, and I'm glad that you have found that too. Something that has been is certainly present all the time in all of us, and certainly present throughout our conversation. There are moments when we talked about confidence, there are moments where self-doubt can creep in. So self-doubt, I think, is present in, if we're honest, in everyone. And it happens, I think, when we are innovating, we're being creative, we're pushing boundaries, we're exploring, we're stepping outside of our comfort zone. And so self-doubt's a normal human thing. How do you build yourself back up, or how do you deal with those moments of self-doubt?
I would say I call on my inner strength and my faith. And I keep reminding myself, you are making a difference, right? And you can see the difference. So yes, for those days, yes, that's constant reminder. You are making a difference. And that pulls me right back up.
These little like mantras and sayings and mental tools are so critical. I know years ago, before I had my midlife awakening, as I like to call it, I really didn't recognize how important it is to create something new for yourself and to be able to push boundaries. You really need these tools. And simpler the better. I love that you are making a difference. You talked about success and what success means for you. What has been your experience in seeing what makes others successful? So you talked a little bit about the upskilling. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's your answer. So if it is, you can just tell me. But why do you? I guess I'm getting at, why do you believe that people succeed?
I believe people succeed because they are inspired, right? Which in turns drives passion. And along the way, they pick up a little bit of creativity and some innovation, and that gets them to their goal. And I think that's what drives people to succeed.
Because they're inspired. Oh, I've never looked at it that way. And I think that's so true. The reason I said, oh, like that was because I see a lot of uninspired people.
Exactly.
Oh, that hurt my heart.
Yes.
Wow. And I remember listening to a TED Talk, and I saw this individual speak live as well. He was great, Sir Ken Robinson. He talks about creativity. Specific talk was how we teach innovation and creativity out of our children in the education system. And I was like, oh my goodness, he's so right.
Right. Yeah.
Did you ever lose your inspiration? Like, did you ever have to find? No, you never
No,
lost.
yes, it's one of my downfalls. I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning thinking about how can I write another proposal that can keep us employed, but help more people. And I can get up at 2 in the morning. I'm always inspired. My brain never shuts off. But that's inspired and that's good. I do get sleep. But that creative brain and that innovation, it just clicks in right like that. And when you see projects come to life and when you see that first person getting that job and that employer coming back and say, wow, I need 2 more of Beverly, then you know that you are on the right track. So again, this is what I've always wanted to do. And creativity is what keeps us competitive. Competitiveness sets us apart from other not-for-profit organization, right? We're funded, so it's always have to prove your worth. Why should I invest in you? Because in turn, if you invest $100, we can train somebody that can contribute $100,000 back to you. And that's the return on the investment that we give to our funders. Although we're not for profit, we really drive a business model here.
Yeah, wow. I really appreciate that about you, and that you are such an inspired and inspiring woman, and it's not all, it's and are so business minded. Yeah. And that's a unique quality that I have found in you as a leader, and something that I believe very strongly that we need to be nurturing more of as our world continues to change, because that inspiration piece, that's where we will remain, that's where we will innovate and create, to your point, remain competitive in a global market, and have people who are awake in their lives, in that, at work and at play. And that only serves everyone, and it serves everyone. We definitely don't get anywhere alone. And I know that you believe that to be true. Who has helped you along the way?
My parents. I'm a strong believer. God has helped me along the way, and some amazing women. So shout out to all of the amazing women. Magdalene, if you're listening, Heidi from Invest Ottawa, you, Louise, Schnezanner, my neighbor next door in my cubicle, the Dianas of the world, the Geetas of the world, the Shwetas of the world, and the Ericas of this world. These are so amazing. And this, along my journey, has been amazing. They're too numerous to mention, and I'll probably get into trouble, but I'm human, and I apologize if I've left, but everyone has inspired me along the way.
Yeah, inspiration really is everywhere.
Yes.
If we pause and just pause to look, listen, and feel, and inspiration really is everywhere. I have a few rapid fire questions, if I may. Do you mind if I jump into those?
Okay.
Firing minds want to know. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Don't be afraid to try new things. Take risk. I think there's a couple of things I would have done differently or sooner.
That's good advice. What do you think the world needs more of?
More peace and tolerance.
Amen to that. Peace and tolerance. Do you have a go-to book or podcast or learning resource?
I go to my Bible. That's my inspiration. That's the foundation of who I am.
That's awesome. We all need that, right? To those tools and rituals that ground us, that inspire us, that keep us focused and in faith. And then finally, my tagline, as you know, is be brave, be bold, be happy. What does being brave, bold, and happy mean to you?
I gave that some thought, and I'm thinking, for me, being brave is I can do this. If somebody had told me yesterday at 11 o'clock that I would be on a radio show today, I would be telling them that they are crazy. But here I am. I can do this. I don't know about your listeners after listening to me today, but I did it. Being bold is about being confident in my own skin. I'm a Black person, I'm an immigrant, and I'm a woman, and I'm proud. Being happy each day that I'm alive. A day filled with endless possibilities. I'm happy.
You choked me up. You choked me up there, Juliette. I think that's beautifully said, and has given, that answer, and all of what you've shared throughout the show has just given me so much greater insight to who you are, why you do what you do. And you are just an incredible, beautiful woman and individual. And I'm just so appreciative for all of what you've shared on the show today. Before we close out the show, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to, if there's anything else that you would like to share with the listeners that you've not already had an opportunity to share.
Well, first, I want to thank you, Louise, for the opportunity to share a little bit about myself and the work that I do. My mission is about helping people get ahead. So this forum has given me an opportunity to actually bring me back to my passion, why I'm doing this, and the excitement and the thrill of each day that I get to do and transform the lives of women. We need to lift each other up and to get people working, get people inspired, be mentors, like reach out to someone, just share. This is what we are all about, right? So if anybody's looking to connect, absolutely, on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to the show. If you're looking to programs, how do I start? How can I help the next generation? How can I help my girls get into coding and just bring them along? Like, reach out. We can always talk about ideas, how we can help each other. There's so much opportunity that's available to everyone in this country. We're all on the same level, although people might think differently, but opportunities are available to everyone. It's just have to reach out and take it. Beautiful. Nobody has ever said that you don't belong or you can't have this. Anything that you want, you can have it in this country.
Beautiful. Juliette, again, thank you. Beautiful words for you to end on. And thank you for being brave and bold today on the show.
Thank you so much, Louise.
You're welcome. And of course, thanks to all of you, my Lady Boss listeners, for tuning in to today's show. And I invite you to connect with me directly at louisehreed.com if you have any questions or want to talk about coaching, speaking engagements, or leadership consulting. Let's all live inspired, grow together, and be brave, be bold, and be happy. Until next Tuesday, I'm Louise H. Reed, wishing all of you an amazing day. And in the words of Juliette, opportunities are available to everyone. Just reach out and take them. Goodbye, friends.